Good evening. This is my third archive of my collection. Today is what should I say? Today's date is 26th of January. If I'm not mistaken, today's date is let me check. 26th of January 2024, and today is another edition of an archive recording of my collection. So today I'll be doing some recording on my collection. Compared to my last video, I'm trying to make it brief, probably just show some of them, briefly tell some. If there is important notes and or anecdotes I need to add in, I'll just add in, but generally I'll just present my collection. One of my main collection, I would say, for my as a numismatic collection, this is one of my favorite countries, and no matter how old it is or no matter how new it is, I think it gives me a joy to collect and find such banknotes. So today's banknote I'm going to present just Japan. And if we got extra time, probably I'll just go into Korea, South Korea. I do have South Korea in this album together with my Japanese, but mainly this one is my compilation of Japanese banknotes. So let's just get started. These are during the Showa. This is after the Meiji emperor's passing. His son took over as the next emperor. So these banknotes are during 1910, 1920s era. So these are 10 cent, 20 cent, 50 cent. They are similar design. There's an old one under Meiji era, same banknotes but a different design at the observe back. There will be more seals, more complicated seals. Those are more valuable under Meiji. This is not under Meiji. This is under Emperor Taisho. So Emperor Taisho periods, they are much more cheap to get. Even today, for very uncirculated, you can get it probably about $30, $20, $30, depends on the condition. A good condition probably will fetch $30. This is a banknote I just recently won in the auction. This is the one very difficult to get. I can't find this in my dealers or anywhere in around my place. So I didn't have any choice but to go to the auction. Slightly premium, a lot of course slightly premium. I bought over the fair market value price. The fair market value price probably is around $20 or so, $30. I bought it roughly about $40, slightly over budget, but for its condition of extremely fine version of this is difficult to find in my country, let alone I didn't know when I would go to Japan to find this banknotes or this currency series. So since I found it in the online bidding, might as well just get it, pay a little premium, save my time. So yeah, these are nearly all completed in my collection, this series. After this, they have the other series, 5 yen. They're slightly different in the front. This is a bit more orange one with a black serial number and black block numbers. Same goes here, black block numbers, but the patterns is slightly different, as you can see, but the condition of writings are still the same as the Japan Imperial Japan Bank. They're pretty much the same, but slightly albeit different. Of course, the major difference is actually at the back. As you can see, this is much more flower pattern. This is much more solid pattern to it, but the security system they had is the same. They have an extension paper to stamp on the side here. On the side here, probably it's just for recording. I'm not too sure about that. Then we have the same series in 10 yen. This one I nearly got sequential numbers. They're the same block, and the numbers the same. I said this is 27, this is 29, so I'm missing the 28. So what a shame. If not, I would have sequential numbers. Then I have the 20 yen and the 200 yen. The only missing denomination I have in this series is the 1000 yen, which is, well, the bigger the denomination, the more expensive it is. So the more expensive it is very hard to get, and they are really difficult to get it. Currently in the market, I see few of them selling it, but they are not selling a raw currency banknote like this. They are mostly already graded, so it adds extra premium to it to buy, which doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense in dollars to buy it. And even I can afford it, it will be a fortune for me to fork out such amount of currency. So no, I will wait patiently to get the 1000. Once I get the 1000, this series will be completed, and I'll be happy enough with that. If any additional, if I can find a better condition, I upgrade my condition. Like this 20 yen, there's a tear in the middle, I'll be upgrading the next condition if I can, if I afford a bit, and sell this in the market to offset what I bought or what I'm going to buy in the future. So it's a similar things that you do like computers. You upgrade your computer and you sell the old parts to offset what you have bought the new one. Great. That's the back. That's the back of the building, and a pagoda. Now I like the Japanese design. This is a seal of a Bank of Japan. Actually, these are the Bank of Japan symbol. I like the Japanese. One of it is because they use a picturesque of shrines, prince and emperor during the imperial time. Most of these portraits are actually scholars or great leaders in their time. Some of them are the prince, like Prince Shotoku, the most popular prince, who is converted to Buddhism and built Japan so-called the rules and laws, making Japan more peaceful. Prince Shotoku is one of them, more revered in the banknotes. There are others, but I haven't gone through very detail who are they and what do they have served the country, what is the main thing. But the beautiful part of the Japanese banknotes is they use Japanese architecture, shrines, Shinto shrines, Buddhist temples. Most of the time, the modern building you'll see is a Parliament building or the Bank of Japan's building. That's modern ones. But as Japan goes to war during Taisho period, they try to revert back to their identity, and the banknotes do reflect that. During the middle or the late of Meiji era, around 1880 to 1890s, a lot of it they presented a more modern look, more westernized look of a banknote. It portrays a lot what is Japan was doing during that time to modernize. During during Taisho era, they are more reverting back to their essence. We modernize into the more westernized, but we must not forget our traditional values, and that is what the concentration during that time, and the banknotes reflects in such a manner. Okay, this is another series, a much more plain As time goes by, as you can see, and I bought this for auction. Also, another note that's very difficult to get. As you can see, during this period, Japan were much more, how do I say, economically more damaged. They were losing the war. They were under attack. Resources were limited. They were being halted, sabotaged. So the banknotes reflected to that situation also. A lot of the wave of the rules they have cleared, and later you will see they start to remove the serial numbers in their banknotes, the later ones, when nearly the end of the war, because there's no point of printing money with values, because virtually there's no value anymore, as they are losing the war. So these are the 5 yen, 10 yen, 1 yen banknotes. After this, then they issue the 1 yen. The back again very simple, not much of difference, and not much of security. Like this one is 2 different colors only, the orange color and the green one, the orange color and the blue one, and later one is just 1 color. Limited dies, limited paper quality. They are all very poor conditions. It's very difficult to get good qualities one, and last uncirculated till today. Most of it is very decayed because the quality of the paper itself is being used is quite poor. Then we come to this one. As you can see, they use red dye, and there's no serial number. This is the point where they already, how should I say, don't care about it anymore. It becomes a very worthless toilet papers. They're just printing for sake of printing, for people to able to transact. Little did they know such effect, such action has a repercussion, hyperinflation. In Second World War, many of the countries are fighting not just in the battles of armies and soldiers, battleship, tanks, and so forth. The economy is also a war zone. The currency battle in the war, where the enemies are going to print more of the counterfeit money so that they can jeopardize the economy of the enemy, the opponent or rivals country. Americans have printed Malaya banknotes, the $10, we call it the banana money, and they printed out vast majority counterfeits so that they can flood the market with a lot of current money, which is successful, to be honest. It is a very successful business. The Germans tried to counterfeit the British pound sterling during the Second World War. It's the same thing, trying to attempt to damage the British economy through banknotes, currencies. That's why America was a bit more upfront in this matter. They print banknotes, especially Hawaii. They actually printed a special currency of US banknotes in Hawaii version, where they label Hawaii. They use the red seal or brown seal. So in the case when the Japanese occupy Hawaii and take all the US dollar that is labeled Hawaii by the politicians' whim, they would just sign an act and automatically declare the currency as null and void, thus minimizing or actually virtually unharming the Americans' economy. That's one of the strategy in the currency war and strategies where money also involved in war. And this is to show one example where Japan is started to lose the war. They started to print money out of control without any security or backing of any kind of gold or silver or any kind of sound backing. It's literally a fiat money with no justification to be a fiat money. So these are much more cheaper and common to get. As you can see, they're printed very plain, simple, monotonous color, but yet the design is very beautiful to me. Actually, this is a copy of it, so of the shrine. and to me, I am very immense that such a design, even it's just monotonous color, only two colors or one major color, it's still beautiful to me. That's one of the I was attracted to the Japanese yen. The currency is great. Now, most of my currency in this album, just to remind everyone and also myself, this is mainland Japan's banknote. There are other overseas banknotes, Japanese colonized like Malaya, Philippines, Indonesia, Burma, China, and Manchukuo, and also Korea. The annexed Korea, the Koreans have their own specific banknotes being printed by the Japanese. Including Taiwan, they were printed by the Japanese for the Taiwan usage. They segregated out to these different areas. They got the territory, and then they tried to modernize or try to occupy it using the puppet government they have established and print this money, and most of it are very cheap. But those in the mainland one, they are much more rarer and more, how should I say, limited numbers are being circulated, and that is why my objective of collecting mainland Japan's old currency, rather than like just keep on saying I'm collecting Japanese currency. They were thinking already about the banana money from the during the war and etc. Those kind of colonial currencies is not my thing. When I say Japanese, I mean Japan itself using it, not the military banknotes or overseas banknotes. Because those are very, very cheap and very common. I can get it anywhere, anytime actually. So it has no fun for me. So I'm trying to search for these banknotes as early as possible before they jump the price. This is 100 yen. Actually, it's quite difficult to find this, but I managed to find this from one of the dealers. Quite bad shape. I got it for about 60 ringgit. Quite bad shape. If it's a good condition, it could be selling around 200 ringgit. You know, that's around about $50, $50 to $60. But I got it about $10. I got it about $10 or $15 of this. So it was worth it just for the sake of getting into my collection. This is a convertible silver dollar, 1 yen. This is 1 yen, 1889. There are actually two types of variation. This kind of banknote. One is actually Arabic numerical, which is the normal numbers that we see, like 877, 222. There is the other one, a more traditional Chinese or characters or kanji characters written in numbers. So that is another variation, but much more earlier version of it. I don't have that. I'm still looking for it, and probably I would get one by next month. Depends. There is one auction is now having. They have that in the market. I can't find that. I think most probably I will be bidding on that one, so long the price is reasonable or not too expensive, not very expensive to get it. All right. Speaking on this one, even the Arabic numerical itself, according to the catalogs, Japanese catalogs, which I am using this one. I have 2023, but I'm using 2022 because if I have that banknote, I'll just tick, means I already possess the banknote. So for this banknote is 1889. 1889 is this one. Yeah. So as you can see, 1889 have three types of variation. The block number with it 100, a block number from 101 to 200, 299, and the block number 300 and above. The 300 and above will be the cheap ones. They're much more larger quantity, and you can find it a very pristine uncirculated version, in about $16. I just say $16. Even the currency right now at this time of year and month is actually vastly cheaper. It's easier for me mentally to correct myself. This is just $16. It's so much easier for me. 200 for brilliantly uncirculated or proof, about $80, and those that is around 100 series block number, it can fetch up to $300 or more. By the time today, I think it is more than that for uncirculated, and then extremely fine, very fine, and fair. So those are the three. So at the moment I only have a block number 200, the block number 300. So basically I've already completed 200. I'm looking for the 100 at the moment. Yeah, so my collection is nearly there, and as you can see at the beginning, there's the 50 cent, 20 cent, and 10 cent during the Heisei Era government. Even this, there are few variation because they issue on a different year. I got this one, let's say example of a 50 cent Heisei Era government. I have the year reign of the Heisei Era 10 year. I got this one. There's the 11th year, 9th, 8th, 7th, and 6th. So at the moment, I just only collect the piece that I have at the moment. Once I near to the brim, then I start collecting the variation. But sometimes like this variations, I manage to find, why not just get it? This one I still not able to find it. As you can see, the prices, they are very high. They are near to the 100 mark over. It's just expensive, which means it's difficult to find. And the only time they are able to find these banknotes is when the dealers who come to my country, come to my city from all over the world. I have found one dealer that quite modestly every of the coin and currency convention, they come to Malaysia, and he's quite frequent. I try my best to tell him, because he's Japanese, that there are few banknotes that I wanted. He said he might have it, and he will bring it over for me to buy, to exchange with him. So probably I'll make a deal with him again this coming March or so. So yeah, I use this book as my guide and also to pick. So the next coming book, actually the catalog is 2024. They haven't issued yet, but we will see. So yeah, I'm missing only the 100 block for this one. This is actually 1 yen silver convertible notes. It represents $1 silver, which is, they put it 1 yen here. This is a symbol of the coin, the silver coin for 1 yen, representing in a banknote, similar to the American silver dollar certificate. It is a similar concept. Then after it, these are much more older actually. Yeah, it's written here 1889. I actually need to reorganize it, so this actually to be the front. I'll organize it according to chronology. 1994 banknotes, they started to print this 5 cent, 50 cent, 50 cent. This is Yasukuni Shrine, the most controversial shrine to the Koreans and unto the Chinese. Wink wink. Only the mainland Chinese, not me. I really don't bother. I adore Japanese culture and architecture, so really don't bother to have revenge against Japanese. If I were them, I just say I'm already forgiven. But the war was over half a century ago, and let's be bygones be bygones. So I don't really bother about the war, pain and misery and that because we suffered under the British much more longer. There should be more pain and suffering under the British, not the Japanese. These are one of the few types of variant. This is one of the most expensive variants among all of them in Yasukuni Shrine version. That also again depends on what year are they. This is on the 7th, 5th, say 18th year. This is the 19th year of the rule of Showa. And then this is the Mount Fuji version, which is quite only one series, so it's pretty much that. And I have the 10 cent and the 5 cent, a modern series after this one was discontinued. The back of the building is much more simpler. They printed much more monotonous because even after the war, materials are rare, inks are rare, papers are rare. So a lot of the papers in original colors are brownish. Those are the cheap papers you can get. I know because when I was in school, we used to have a lot of these papers, very cheap papers. They are in gray or brown colors, similar to this one. There's no cotton in it. There's no strength, so they are very vulnerable to damages with water and so forth. It will just disintegrate. It's very cheap quality, but it reflects on that time. It's not cheap because it's counterfeit or what. It's cheap because at that time it was the only available material they can afford, or it's the only material they can find after a devastating war. This is a 100 yen after the war period. They started to improve the design, started to improve the ink color, but the paper again is still a brownish paper. They're quite poor quality paper. This is actually a bond. This bond, war bond, is quite unique. Normally they don't have this stamp. It will be a normal one. That is a normal campaign war. This is to promote a special campaign, the invasion of Singapore. This is this bond is served as fundings for 10 yen. Contribute 10 yen to finance the war campaign to invade and conquer Singapore by the Japanese. So living in Southeast Asia, I tend not to buy this type of currency or bonds because I have no interest in collecting bonds. It's just not like money. It doesn't feel like money, but just because the historical campaign that this bond is served to be paid to invade Singapore and also Malaya at that time, seems to tie me quite well on the historical events of this banknote. So it's 10 yen. Of course, before these banknotes have printed out by the Bank of Japan, the Allied forces, when they have victories, they start printing their own currency known as the military currency. At the moment, I don't collect this because it's a military banknote. It's not a normal general circulation banknote, so I don't really tend to collect this. But I found this in a good condition and quite cheap, so I bought it. This is for the B series. There are two series, the A series and the B series. The B series are vastly more cheaper than the A series. The A series are much more expensive and more difficult to find. It's not because of the serial numbers. A doesn't matter. It's the background of the B. See this B? This B? This is called B series. If you find the one with the A, you should collect and keep those notes. They are worth a lot more than the B series. Till even today, I have not seen a A series selling by around my area. My dealers, they are not able to find that kind of banknotes. Actually, this kind of currency in A series. And that's it. That's the end of the era of the Empire of Japan. So the next chapter in the currency is Japan as what we know today. So they started to have the reconstruction of their country. They started to print new design of banknotes to reflect the new age of Japan, to be more commercialized, to emulate the American dream. The democracy has applied. The emperor is now just a mere figurehead of state, symbol with no power. And Japan, that is what Japan we know of today. Rebuilding a country and have an economic miracle to become the second most powerful economic powerhouse in not in Asia but the world. And this banknote is the journey they have passed through those kind of eras. 10 yen, 50 yen. I'm sorry, this is a cent if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the early days they still use cent actually. 10 cent, 50 cent, 1 yen. As inflation goes up because of the war and so forth, that's why most of the countries started to become bigger and bigger and bigger until 10,000 yen we see today, 5,000 yen and 1,000 yen. And the coins is 500 yen, 50 yen, 5 yen, 10 yen, and 1 yen coins as we see today. 1 yen coin are virtually it's made of aluminium. It's the lightest coin in the world if I'm not mistaken. It's so light because it's made of aluminium. And it can float in water if I'm not mistaken. So in those days, the banknotes like this are still viable. The currency denomination is still very powerful, still strong. 1 yen still can do things, 5 yen. But of course, as time passed by, it becomes deteriorate. 10 yen started to print this banknote in 10 yen. Oh, one more thing. Most of these banknotes, you see this serial number, they are not actually serial numbers. They are actually indication of the notes where it was printed. In location wise and what districts they were printed. In Japan they don't have one printer, they have multiple printers, one in Osaka, one in Kanagawa, one in Nagoya, one in Tokyo, etc, etc, etc. So some of them are more expensive than the other because they're more difficult to find. I just at the moment not playing those kind of games to find out and decode it, which one is the more expensive. So I got this design, I just leave it in because there will be too many to buy and collect. It will be a bloody headache. This is a 50 yen coin. This is difficult to find and they're quite moderately expensive. They only produce only one serial number. Now I will be talking this one Japanese in the modern series. There are one prefix and two prefix. The one prefix system is the most expensive. They're one of the earlier issuance. Then afterward they issue two alphabet prefix, which is the more standard, and vast majority and more common banknote because it's double the quantity compared to a single prefix. So when you buy, when I collect the banknotes, the Japanese banknotes, such as the 100 yen, this is more expensive than the rest. A single prefix one for me cost me this one around 200 ringgit. The others one like this one, this is brown paper used with two prefix and the white paper into prefix. This is a brown paper and this is a brown paper, light brown paper. This is 200. This is probably about 50. This is about 10 or 5 ringgit. You can get it a lot. They are selling like stacks. And I've heard that this banknotes is still circulating in the rural area of Japan and they are still valid for 100 yen. Yes, the Bank of Japan did tell the public that most of these banknotes are still legal tender. They're still 50 yen, they're still 100 yen. Although the inflation as time passed and inflation have caused the prices to go up, to 1,000 yen. So this doesn't make sense to create banknotes at 100 yen no more. But they're still valid as 100 yen. So as I say, this is a single prefix, double prefix, double prefix. This is a brown paper, this is a brown paper, this is a white paper. And this is a complete set for me. I have done my best. This is a complete set of 100 yen of this series. Behind is the parliament. As you can see, Nippon Ginko means Bank of Japan. This is the parliament, the national diet or national parliament of Japan. 500 yen, again, same thing. I have completed the set. single prefix, I have 2 single prefix, and this one I have double prefix 1. I got a deal of getting this 2. It cost me only 30 ringgit. It's a steal, to be honest. For a condition like this, it's a steal. As you can see, the printing color is different. It's a bit slightly more green. This is blue. The single prefix is blue, the double prefix is a bit greenish. Then 1000 yen at that time. This is Prince Shotoku. This is double prefix. I'm missing 1000 yen single prefix. Then it will be complete. 500 yen, I have single prefix and double prefix is complete, but I wish I could get a better condition for a single prefix. This is torn, which I don't like, but luckily this torn is quite, for me, is acceptable because it's not torn out from any of the ink or the printing pattern area. I don't like when it's missing of a printing area pattern there. Then I don't get a full view of what's the note look like. Top has been stained probably by oil or chocolate stain or whatever, I'm not too sure, but it has been stained and is absorbed into the paper. This is paper they started to use this 500 yen. It's called a cream paper. It's uniquely Japanese fiber cotton paper they're using. The new other countries in the world uses the Japanese paper. They are quite hard and solid and durable against water and pesticides, as what I've heard. Mount Fuji again. Then they have 1000 yen. This is the Prime Minister Hirobumi. If I'm not mistaken, he's the first Prime Minister under Meiji government. Was assassinated. If I'm not mistaken, he was assassinated in his carriage or was at the train station. Japan's prime ministers, there are quite a number of them in history being assassinated. They're quite frequent among the whole world of the world leaders. Japan has the leading grounds of prime minister being assassinated. Even recent modern history, I think last year, the former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, was assassinated, or they call it murder. But I like to categorize that in history context as being assassinated because it was politically motivated rather than domestically motivated. And again, this is, sorry, go back to the notes. Here's 1000 yen. Now this one, they have 2 types of bank, 2 types of variation. Of course, is single prefix and double prefix. I don't have the single prefix, so I'm missing actually 2 types of single prefix. Why I say that? I mean, you might not be able to see it from this view, from the cameras. If I can see it under the light, this is a dark blue serial number color. This is a dark blue, and this is a black color. They have 2 types of color they have printed, black and dark blue. It's hard to see it, but you have to get close to see it. And that's how they reprint the large quantities of number. First, they'll print at a single prefix alphabet. Once it's maxed out, like Z 99999, Z, and then Z, then they'll change to AA 00001 A, and then they subsequently change the number alphabet here and alphabet here until they reach no more number or alphabet. Let's say ZZ 9999999 Z. Then they go back to A, single prefix A 00001A in a different color. That is the system they actually introduced starting at this bank, specifically in this banknote. Previously, they don't change the color, so it never happened. The 1000 yen starts to happen because this is the moment where the country's inflation has happened. Then most of the commodities are bought in 1000 yen above. 500 yen became very redundant. They no longer produce 500 yen banknotes. Eventually it becomes a coin. So if you see this one, this is the last version of a banknote or a currency in 500 yen denomination. This is the last. for all this while on this world, they are all printed. The smallest denomination is 1,000 yen banknote. So I'm missing is a single alphabet prefix for a black and a dark blue. Once I have that too, it's complete. And this one, as you can see, this is uncirculated. You can see the paper they use is very good quality. They started to print more motifs. They started to import materials to print a proper design banknotes. Compared to what you previously see, it was much more plain and simple. The paper technology they use, as it is, they use the uniquely Japanese paper quality. Start to have this brown, and this is the universal color of their banknotes. The Bank of Japan behind is the Bank of Japan. Nothing new, nothing different. Then they have a higher denomination of 5,000 yen. I have completed the 5,000 yen. This is a single prefix. They don't have any multiple color for 5,000 yen. So based on that scenario, they only have single prefix black and double prefix black. It's a complete set. Alright. What I'm missing here in my collection in this series is actually 10,000 yen. 1,000,000 yen. Also same thing, a single prefix and a double prefix. I'm missing that, but they are very expensive, especially the single prefix alphabet. Now we come to a more modern banknote starting at 1980s. They start to modernize the banknote into something that we see today. This is much more in principle. This is more design that we are more recognize. This probably many people don't recognize, but from this onward, this series, a lot of people recognize this banknote. Then you recognize this Japanese yen based on its patterns, the colors, the motifs. They're quite just a flick in the mind, and you know it's Japanese. 1,000 yen, they print a lot, and it's a bloody headache. The difference is the single prefix, double prefix, black color is the first. Then they have blue, and then they have blue. Then they have it's brown, then blue, then green. There are 4 versions of color of this, and again single prefix, double prefix. And another blood headache is they changed their name of this. I call this oki, meaning big. This is actually considered how do I say the first note. These are first notes. There is a second note number, so I can show you from the book. It's much easier. Let me get that. Let me get that here. So yeah, 10,000 yen. I'm missing that. Yeah, there. They actually too big, too small. So you have the black one, the chocolate one, the blue, and then the green. And then they have the black one. They have with this bank name, the engravers. Then they have another series and a series. There are 3 types. These are the earlier ones. Then they changed to this in year 2001. So this one, with the character word big, black, blue, black, blue, and brown, black, blue, brown, and green. They started to use from 1984 to 2000. Then they changed to this one in 2001, green color only. And then they changed to this one, which is the current notes in Japan. They use nation, koku. They call it koku in the front. Green, 2003. There's alphabet, single alphabet, double alphabet, single alphabet, double alphabet. So I put it here so it's easy for me to do reference what I have, because sometimes I'm not able to trace this one here. So that applies to that in the Japanese notes for 1980 onwards. So you can see is here the bottom alphabet character they're using. This is Oki, so this is the first versions. Then you have to see the prefix. Are they single alphabet or double alphabet? And then what color are they? So for a good example, these two are black, single and double alphabet, and Oki, Oki. So this one set complete. This is single prefix brown paper, Oki. Double prefix brown, I got 2 extra, they are Oki. I have a green one in Oki. I bought it about 50 ringgit. Single prefix is actually more than 50 ringgit. In this condition, this should be probably around 90 to 120 ringgit. A good uncirculated 150 ringgit for a single prefix. Double prefix probably half the price, 80 ringgit or 60 to 80 ringgit, I would say. Okay. So there are a lot more rooms for me to find, but that would be more expensive because they are more older version. The notorious one, and then I have this one is the center one in green, double prefix, but I can't find a single prefix yet. So hopefully one day I will find this one to complete the 1,000 yen. Still long way. This 5,000 yen is notoriously rare. They're notoriously rare. I don't have the black one, which is the first issuance. Single prefix black and double prefix black. I don't have it. And if the market is selling now in eBay, these notes are all hefty price. They are selling around 900 to 1,500 ringgit. That's nearly about a cutthroat of $400. That's nearly a cutthroat, nearly $400 just to get this note in a good condition. These are all my trips when I was in Japan. I didn't buy them, so I traded at that time according to the currency exchange rate. When I went to have a holiday or vacation in Japan, I kept the 5,000 yen. I knew it was hard to find because when they exchange, when you buy something in Japan, most of the time you get back 1,000 yen, not 5,000. If you give a 10,000 yen, hardly you'll get back in change of 5,000 yen. They always give you more change in the 1,000 yen. So I knew at that time this were more difficult to get it, and realizing it today, it is true. Very hard to find, very hard to get it, and I'm very glad that I kept the brown version ones. These are much more newer. This is a normal. I was also very grateful that I got the first series, first prefix, II brown, and then double A, but sadly the other back is an X. Now, not a perfect, but still this is quite a complete set for 5,000 yen. I'm missing is the black color one. And of course, there are different banking, right? As you can see, there are different banks. So let me check through my catalog. Yes, there is. As you can see, Oki will have a black and brown 1984 and 1993 print. The middle one, that one is 2001, which is only one color, which is brown, but they have single and double prefix. I have the double prefix. And then the Koku one, which is this one in brown. This is 2003 series. I have a single and double prefix for this one. Oh, sorry, this is Oki. Oki is this one. I got a 1993 version, single and double prefix. Yeah, correct. I just did there. What I don't have is the 2003 version of the so-called the last series before they change the newer 5,000 yen. So kudos to that. Still a long way to go in collecting the complete set 5,000, but it will be painstaking because of the cost for me to acquire it. It's one of the difficult ones. 10,000 yen is another one that is also difficult to sort after. I have this 101, the black one and the brown one, but sadly I don't have the single prefix for any of them, so it's going to be a long journey for me. Even right now, looking at it, I have 30,000 yen here, which is already pretty much is over 1,000 ringgit. It's a lot of money in here in my collection. Having 3 of this is already make a lot of people worried that the value that I'm having here is enough to feed a family for nearly 3 months. That's what they would say. I don't think they would. This is a commemorative banknote. Japan, very, very, very rare. They would produce currency for any kind of occasion. This is printed in the year 2000. Coincidentally, good year is the year 2000. That year they have, I think, G8 summit or now G7 summit in Okinawa. So they have the temple's gate. If I'm not mistaken, this is I forgot the name of it, but one day I'm planning to go there. So they have that kind of motif for the place that in Okinawa. This is a single prefix, all black. There's no brown, thank God. All black, and then there's a double prefix. I was thinking about double prefix, and if I'm lucky, the commemorative banknote there is a era banknote. Not many people know about it, but they are errors. If I'm not mistaken, they changed the alphabet at the back. It's the L and an R here. Two different serial numbers. The alphabet are different. That's an error printing, and it's quite small quantity. And people started to realize it. Not the bank realized it. It's the people who found it, and it becomes a very scarce commodity to acquire it. So hopefully one day I could acquire that error note and put it in my collection in my slot here. This is actually a poetry from the Tales of Genji. This is Genji. It's the prince who written the story of Tales of Genji. These are the primary the primary language written in Japanese. They started to write in calligraphy of the Chinese version, and they find a way to simplify the meaning. That's where you get a lot of the Japanese word like hiragana and katakana, based from the tradition days. They use Chinese characters. They oversimplify it to make into a vowel that becomes a Japanese language. This series are all have been changed to this new series. For the reason is because is to combat counterfeiters. So they increase security measures here. UV light is finally they use something for UV light. They also have the Orion stars in the security, so that on the photocopy machine tries to scan, if anybody tries to attempt to scan, it will actually blur out or error comes out on the printer, that or they are not able to print out due to it is unable to create banknotes or copy a banknote, something like that. So and then they have color here is called sen yen, 1000 yen repeated in here, and you can see 1000 also under different angles. So they put out a lot of new technology in this series. The reason they also, Japanese are quite justification people. They like to justify things. The reason they make a new banknote is because this banknote can be counterfeit. They found counterfeits, fake notes, counterfeit notes, alternate notes on this one. So most of the time when they found out the quantity is there, the Japanese government tend to react quickly, and thus this new series were born. Now, of course, these banknotes are still considered legal tender in Japan, but to counter the extreme of the counterfeiters, they start to print new notes in this, and the old one the bank will collect and they will dispose it. Yeah, Japan is still considered, to record, Japan still uses hard money for purchasing goods and paying bank bills and so forth. They still use hard cash rather than credit card or e-wallets. It's different from China. They're still much more conservative. So yeah, same thing. This when they started printing this, the bank seal characters remain the same. So, phew, you don't need to collect based on the variation of different name of the bank of the engravers or the printing press. But what you need to pay attention is they have single prefix, double prefix, and also the color. This is black. They have a blue one, and a brown one if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they have a brown one, single prefix. So this is actually complete set. This one is brown series, complete set. So pretty much it's there. The only one I'm missing for this 1000 is the blue one. After they have exhausted this color, they started a new series of single prefix blue. That is the two banknotes I'm missing for this one at the moment. Also, this note I got it from my travel to Japan. I quite frequently travel for my holiday in Japan because I just love Japan. In a way that how the cityscape, the behavior of the people, the landscape, and it's so different world out there. Most of the time I live in the western cities like Australia. I kind of know how it looks like, and it doesn't enchant me. But Japan's cityscape and the nature, it is living like a paradise for me. It's like paradise. Of course, I'm going there as a tourist. Of course, it's going to be beautiful. Of course, I understand that if you're working in Japan and making a living in Japan, it's a hell place to be. It's much more hell compared to Melbourne or Sydney, if I'm not mistaken. If I have to compare. 5,000 yen. There are 4 types, and I got 3. The last piece of this is the common one, so I'm not so fearful in getting the last piece because it's not the earlier piece. The earlier piece I've got is here, is completed, black, single prefix, double prefix black, and single prefix brown. So the current and all the last note they're using is brown double prefix, and that's it. And then the 10,000 yen, same thing, the brown. I'm missing a single prefix, that's it. That's what I'm missing at. So yeah, some of the pictures they use, of course, during the Empire of Japan, they use the aristocrats or famous prince, or they don't use the emperor. They can't use that because emperors are revered. They cannot. It's like Muslims cannot portray the face of Prophet Muhammad, their prophets. In Japan, they cannot portray their faces on a banknote of an emperor or anyone unless they are in history or in legends, thousands of years or hundreds of years. Yes, then they'll put that during the Empire of Japan. During the normal Japan after the post-war Japan, most of it they're dedicated to people who are like educationists, bacteriologists, people that have achieved goodwill to humanity. This is a woman, I forgot the name, but I do know she opened a Keio University, if I'm not mistaken. She opened she was the first educated woman, and also providing education to women for in universities. So profoundly, she's an educationist, academic person. So she's dedicated and immortified in the 5,000 yen. Fujiwara, if I'm not mistaken, his name is Fujiwara. Let me check back his name. Don't want to screw up people's name, so I got to Fukuzawa. Sorry, this is Fukuzawa. If I'm not mistaken, I read he is also a literature academic person who wrote countless of poetries and so forth. I'm not too sure in great detail about him, but again, I would say he's also an educationist who bring Japan to more modern society, actually, rather than traditionalists. So these are the banknotes that today I can present on Japan. On the Japanese. That's it I have for the Japanese banknotes. For mainland Japan, of course. This is a year 2024. the year that they're going to actually introduce the new banknote series. This will be phased out, but they're still legal tender for a long time because all Japanese banknotes are still considered legal tender. But they're no longer able to print new one. This one, last year was the last issuance. This year, around if I'm not mistaken, June or July, I think after April, they will be start printing the new banknotes. They will look something like this. Okay, they're going to print this 10,000 yen, 5,000 yen, and 1,000 yen. These are the new ones. The 10,000 yen portrait is Shibusawa. The 5,000 is Studa, and the 1,000 is Kitasato. They're going to issue, if not mistaken, it's written here, 2024. Yeah, early 2024, they're going to release this banknote. These are going to be a new banknote series. One of the biggest changes they had is they make the denomination much larger, so that people who are more difficult to read, especially the society in Japan, based on age of the population, there are a lot of the population aged well, they are senior years. Majority are more than 60 or 70 years old compared to the younger generation. So they have to accommodate the older generations so that they can use their money. And one of it is, example is like this. They make the denomination extremely large. You would see the size probably will be the same as this one for the 10,000 yen. Probably will remain the same size. But this 10,000 will be ridiculously big, up to this size. It's going to be ridiculously big. This reason is because a lot of the population might not able to see or read what are the value the banknotes they are holding on in their hands. So they have hard to read. Probably they are what we call it, people who can't read it in the close vision or far sight, near sight, they can't read. So they have to increase the size of the denomination. That's one of the reasons why. Compared to the old banknotes, I think the security is very enhanced. They finally included a 3D hologram strips into it. So the face is actually will have multiple face when you took the banknotes. Yeah. But compared to the background, the color, I think this version has more colorful pattern design compared to this. This is much more simplified, but the function is there. The main function is the denomination. They make it big so that the elderlies can read the denomination. Security wise, they added some security, like silver thread, silver hologram, 3D hologram, and such things. To be honest, Japanese security wise is very weak compared to other countries. Even the United States banknotes are much more secure. But the Japanese looks very traditional. One of his major strengths is you cannot counterfeit their paper quality. These are the unique paper. They are not like the standard papers that you see around the world. They use a very unique paper to print, and their watermarks are uniquely sharp, extremely sharp, which can be done because the paper they are using. The paper is actually very hard, so when you fold this paper as frequently, it will crack in the middle. But the paper is still durable. They don't tear very easily. They're durable. They're moisture resistant. So it's uniquely made in Japan. Nowhere else that made this kind of type of paper, or this type of paper. Of course, I will expect Japan to be a modern society. Probably they will change quickly after this version. Probably they'll change it to polymer. Yes, plastic. But of course, plastic means you have to use a lot of material that is not able to recycle. And Japan's policy is they have to recycle nearly 80 to 90% of the waste they collected must be recycled for main usage. So maybe that will be tough for currency to be. They have to think about, if you're going to make a polymer banknote, how is it going to be resistant to melt, which means there is and biodegradable banknote and so forth. They had to think about something to recycle because of the policies they have. No wastage. So these banknotes are actually can be recycled to make new banknotes because they're using paper type of banknotes. So I want to talk about a bit something I know. I do know who's this fella, Shibusawa. He is known as Japan's father of capitalists. He's one of the first people who to industrialize Japan. He is the one who built many of the buildings in Tokyo. He financed it. He introduced modern Western style of business. That is why he's considered as the Japan's father of capitalists. He's the first person to be a modern capitalist in Japan after feudalism period. And this too, I'm not too sure. Of course, the 1000, I do know he is a scientist. The Japanese banknote, they reserve 1000 for people who discover cure or medicine or any kind of scientists that contribute to humanitarian needs. The 5000 is reserved for, as this point of time I see, they are contribute for women's contribution to Japan, to the Japanese society. And again, this one, if I'm not mistaken, is also educationist. Another woman who is an educationist being portrayed in their banknote. I don't know what is their main background, but the most famous one is Shibusawa. He's the father of capitalism. So this will be coming up probably after April, June or July. We'll start issuing this new banknote in this year, 2024. So that's it then. That is all I have for today's archive on Japan. The future one would be banknotes that is from colonial during the Empire of Japan, in Korea, in Manchukuo, and also Korea. Korea after the war, the Korea, South Korea, and also North Korea banknotes. That is for another time. So at this moment in time, thank you very much. I hope I could archive this more fast and quick and not to let myself forget. So this is my archive. I would say thank you and good night.